I looted 100 Minecraft structures, and here is what I learned. We'll start with the most basic and simple structure, which is the village. This is probably the first structure you'll find when you spawn to a survival world, and they can contain good stuff. They can contain bundles, they can contain beds, which are useful for skipping the night early on, but the main thing to look for is the blacksmith. Now, the blacksmith can contain loads of awesome gear. They can contain iron tools, iron weapons, iron armor, and they can contain lots more food as well. Another good house to look out for is the leatherworker's house, because the leatherworker's house is of course going to contain some leather armor for you and sometimes some emerald as well, which you can use to trade with the other villagers. Now, another structure which you are very likely to encounter in the early game is the shipwreck. Now, the shipwreck is an awesome structure. It contains some truly epic loot, even better than that which you could find in villages. Most shipwrecks contain 3 decks, which means 3 chests for you to loot. So you have paper and buried treasure maps in the first chest. In the second chest you have food items including carrots, potatoes, and even sometimes pumpkin pies, and in the third chest, which is the best chest, you can find iron ingots, iron nuggets, you can find armor trims, and sometimes even diamonds. So let's go ahead and use that treasure map to find the next structure, which is the buried treasure chest. These chests are found at beaches underneath the sand, and after a little bit of digging you will be able to find the buried treasure chest. And what's inside it? Well, it's got loads of awesome loot. It's got iron ingots, it's got gold ingots, it's even got some diamonds, and sometimes you can even find some music discs or other items like potions of water breathing or hearts of the sea. Now, the next structure we are going to be looting is actually located underground, and this is the dungeon. This is one of the oldest structures in Minecraft. It was added all the way back in Alpha, or probably even before that, and basically dungeons can contain one of 3 mobs. They can contain spiders, zombies, or skeletons, and we actually got pretty lucky with spiders, because spiders are pretty easy. You can just build a 2-block hole, a 1-block wide hole, then they can't get through, but you can still hit them. Now, in the chest in the dungeon, I was able to collect some pretty good loot. I was able to collect a golden apple and a music disc, and we got lucky with music disc cat, because that's the better of the 2 music discs you can find in dungeons. But anyway, let's move on to the next structure, which is the abandoned mineshaft. Now, mineshafts are pretty good because they let you see all these different ores that are located in the wall, and I was able to get some diamonds there, and I was also able to loot some of the mineshaft minecart chests that were available, and you can find awesome items here. You can find name tags, you can find rails, but I don't need to build a railway, so I won't take those. But some coal is always nice, and some more name tags as well. But another interesting thing about mineshafts is they oftentimes connect to dungeons. So I was able to find a zombie dungeon over here. I was able to take out this zombie, and I was able to loot this dungeon chest as well, and get another golden apple, and get an enchanted book, though it ended up being a cursed enchanted book, so that's not that great. But anyway, let's head back up to the surface now, because our next structure on the list is the jungle temple. This is a awesome build. It's a pretty good build. It was added back in Minecraft version 1.3, or maybe even 1.2, I don't know, but it's a good build, and it lets you go in, and there are actually 2 chests here, and you find them in 2 different unique manners. Now, the first one, you're supposed to access it by using a lever puzzle, but it's pretty weird and it's pretty difficult to actually get it done correctly, so most people just end up breaking the block, and basically you break the block that's right next to the staircase, and you'll be able to access the chest. But this chest turned out to be pretty bad just with a single iron ingot. But there's also the other side of the jungle temple where you walk past the dispenser traps and basically just stick to the side so you don't get hit by the arrows. But this chest turned out to be pretty good. We got some armor trims and we got some gold ingots, so that worked out pretty well. But without further ado, let's move right into the next structure, which is the ocean ruins. And if you were observant, you might have also seen the desert temple in the background there. But first, let's open this chest, which turns out to just contain some coal, so not pretty useful. Ocean ruins tend not to have the best loot, but you know what? Desert temples do tend to have pretty good loot, so we're going to jump down into here, into the main room, and there's a creeper, so we're going to have to hit him back and make sure that we don't end up getting blown up here before we can even reach the loot chests. And getting blown up is a pretty common theme in desert temples if you're not careful. You want to mine your way down on the sides of the desert temple, because if you just mine straight down, you will end up falling onto the pressure plate and activating the TNT. So the first chest here was pretty useless, but the second chest here did contain a golden apple, and the third chest also ended up containing some diamonds, which is always nice, and the fourth chest contains some horse armor. So if you like keeping your horses alive, a desert temple is probably a good place to go. But anyway, let's move on to another village which I found. I was able to get some iron armor, and that worked out pretty nicely. Who doesn't like some iron armor from a village blacksmith? But this village actually had 2 blacksmiths. The second one wasn't too good, though. They just had some bread and some ingots. But moving on from that, as I was walking along, I was able to find a single piece of netherrack exposed to the surface, and as we should hopefully know, netherrack does not generate in the overworld except in ruined portals. And after doing a bit of digging, I was able to discover the chest, but it really did not have much of anything useful apart from a single golden shovel with efficiency 4. But as you hopefully know, gold tools have basically no durability, so that was basically useless. But anyway, let's move on to the next structure, which is the desert well. We actually have two desert wells right here, but anyway, desert wells, when they were originally added, and for a long time, they did not have any loot whatsoever, but now we have the brush item, and you can find some suspicious sand in the desert wells, and you can brush that suspicious sand, and you can even find some special items. You can find pottery shards, and you can also even find, apparently, a stick. Yes, you can find a stick in a desert well. Isn't that the best loot there is? I sure would hope so. But anyway, let's move on to the next structure, which is the fossil. And yes, this is considered a structure, and yes, it does have loot, but the loot that it has is coal, so it's not necessarily the best loot. You probably wouldn't want to go out of your way looking for a fossil. But anyway, let's move on to the next structure, which is a lot more interesting than the fossil, because this is the trial chamber. Yeah, that's what it's called. I keep forgetting what it's called. But anyway, it has a bunch of interesting kind of rooms. It's kind of similar to the stronghold, and basically it has a lot of items in it. But for some reason, a lot of them seem to be themed around honey. So there's honey bottles, there's honeycombs, there's wax apparently too, and more sticks. So I don't know. Maybe they were a bunch of beekeepers here or something. So let's return to the surface and see if we can find the next structure on our list, which is the igloo. Now the igloo is a bit of an interesting structure. It was added in Minecraft version 1.9, and it has only a 50% chance of containing the special basement where most of the loot is found. You can find a bed and a crafting table and a furnace in the top half of the igloo, but if there is no basement, you won't get all of the other exciting loot. So what we're going to do is we're going to go to the second igloo here, because the first one unfortunately did not have a basement, but the second one does. So we're going to go all the way down to the bottom of the ladder, and you will notice that there are two villagers here, and one of them is a zombie villager. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the golden apple, and we will take the splash potion of weakness from the brewing stand, which is conveniently located right here in the igloo, and we are going to use these two ingredients to convert the zombie villager into a normal villager. So we take him and we splash the splash potion of weakness on him, and then we take the golden apple and we apply that to him, and he starts shaking, and after about 5 minutes he will become a regular villager. But anyway, let's move into the next structure on our list, which is the Woodland Mansion. This is one of Minecraft's biggest structures, and also one of Minecraft's most dangerous structures. It is very dark, and there are plenty of villagers around, but I was able to find some chests, but for some reason, the only chests I was able to find seemed to just contain dark oak saplings, so I don't know, maybe I wasn't looking in the right places. I wasn't able to find the staircase to the third floor either, but anyway, let's get over to the next structure, which is the Pillager Outpost, and another related project of the Illagers. They basically have these outposts where they store all their weapons and things like that to go after the villagers, and I was able to find a chest at the top of the tower here, and they had some more dark oak, they had some dark oak logs, they had some carrots and some wheat, but they also had some more armor trim, so isn't that nice? But most importantly, they had an enchanted book, so using the anvil that I was able to find at the Woodland Mansion, I was able to take the enchanted book, and I was able to apply it to my sword and get sharpness 2 on my iron sword, so isn't that just so nice? But anyway, let's go ahead and adventure back underground, because we're going to find one of Minecraft's most legendary structures, which is the Stronghold. This is the structure which you need to go to if you wish to beat the game, of course, and go fight the Ender Dragon, but right now we're just fighting some creepers and some skeletons and other mobs. But anyway, let's go ahead and look at this chest, and we were able to find some diamonds and some iron, and even an iron pickaxe in the Stronghold chest. So Strongholds do tend to have pretty good loot, but they also have tons of creepers, but luckily I was able to hit that one off into the staircase. So I did find the portal, and I did of course find another creeper next to the portal. Tons of creepers here today, but anyway, I'm not going through the portal today though, but I did end up fighting some silverfish here, and my tip with fighting silverfish is you want to of course take them out in one hit, because if it takes more than one hit, they're going to start summoning all the rest of their friends. But speaking of their friends, we have the another arthropod here, which is the spider, and this guy was just jumping at me. I was eventually able to take him out as well. So let's move on to the next structure, which is the Witch Hut, also known as the Swamp Hut, because it is exclusively found in the swamp biome, but unfortunately there really isn't any loot to find here. I know on Bedrock Edition you can get the special potions in the cauldron, but here on the Java Edition you cannot actually get any special loot. So let's move on to our final structure, which is the Ocean Monument, located exclusively in the deep ocean biomes. Now in order to survive in the Ocean Monument, which is completely underwater, we're going to be able to need to breathe. So what I'm going to do is I will drink my potion of water breathing that I was able to acquire from the buried treasure earlier in this video, and that will allow me to breathe underwater. Now I can see we're already getting attacked by guardians, which tends to happen when you go to the ocean monuments. There are guardians everywhere, so the key to surviving in this structure is to use the walls to your advantage. And you will also, of course, be affected with mining fatigue from the Elder Guardians. There are 3 Elder Guardians per ocean monument, and it is probably a good idea to stay out of their way. So continuing on, we are going to keep going through the ocean monument. It's a bit of a maze, and of course it is filled with guardians who are going to fire their lasers at you, but of course you can easily attack them, and you should hopefully be able to take them out once you get a few good hits on them. Now in terms of the loot that is available in ocean monuments, there actually is not that much. You know, you can get the raw fish from the guardians, you can get the prismarine shards from them as well, and prismarine is probably the most important reason why you'd come here. You can also get sponges, of course, too. There are some wet sponges hidden inside the walls in certain places, and I believe if you end up taking out a guardian, or sorry, not a guardian, but an elder guardian, you will be able to receive a wet sponge as well. And there's also, in some places, there have been some magma blocks added. That wasn't there originally when these were added to the game. Back in Minecraft version 1.8, there were no magma blocks, but in 1.13, they were updated to have magma blocks in the ocean monuments as part of the water update aquatic. But considering on, we are going to take out this guardian over here. There's definitely a few too many lasers here for comfort, but continuing through the maze, we were able to keep going and eventually confront the Elder Guardian, but this fight was compounded by the fact that a whole bunch of other guardians were there firing lasers at me, and I started to take a lot of damage from the lasers, so I did go ahead and eat an apple, but it was much too late because I was unfortunately not able to complete the ocean monuments. But you know what? This is the end of this video, so go ahead and subscribe, and maybe I will do that in a future video. Goodbye.